My name is Deborah Ganglehoff. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of the Life Market here at LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Welcome to our panel discussion today on personalization, what it means for insurers, for the advisor, and how do we make it real for the consumer. I'm happy to be here today to moderate this discussion with a great panel that we have assembled to dig into this topic from a few different angles. Let me go ahead and introduce them now. So first we have Nancy Cook from Securian. She brings more than 20 years of experience in her role as National Sales VP leading independent distribution efforts through national accounts and brokerage general agencies. She identifies and develops business opportunities with distribution channels to build mutually beneficial relationships. Nancy is also accountable for leading a sales team, strategic planning, sales reporting, and analysis. As a key member of the Securian leadership team, Nancy is responsible for ensuring excellent customer service and business quality for the company's independent life constituents. We also have with us today Tim Deneen. He's the CEO of Management Research Services, also known as MRS. Tim is a business and automated underwriting expert who leads MRS's development as a true no-code platform to accelerate carrier transformation. His expertise in technology integration has served as a guide to help MRS create customized insurance underwriting solutions to support a range of insurance services. MRS is creating the foundation for the next evolution in insurance automation. And lastly, we have Scott Reinhardt. He's Senior Manager of the Life Vertical here at LexisNexis Risk Solutions. He is responsible for managing life new business, application strategy, with a keen focus on workflow and digital optimization for carrier and agency partners. Scott collaborates with customers to develop new data-driven solutions for the life market. Formerly, Scott spent 8 years as a sales agent with Liberty Mutual Insurance. So let's go ahead and dig in now. Personalization is such a hot topic today across many consumer-based industries, and it's certainly emerging more in the life insurance market. How can we think about making this a real possibility in the life insurance space, especially since the dynamics are a little bit different than other financial products? Certainly, customer-centric organizations can recognize the opportunity when we have such a long-term relationship with our customer and their needs evolve over time. So we should certainly feel inspired to find a way to make it happen and make it real. So Nancy, let's pose our first question to you. What does personalization mean to you? And could you share some examples that really stick out in your mind from a wider perspective?
Sure. Personalization to me means you're being recognized as an important client, even if it's the initial sale, the initial purchase that you are number one to them. To me, it shows a company organization cares about who is purchasing their goods or services. And for examples, I look at my personal bank. When I log in to the app or to their website to access my account information, I'm greeted with a "Hello, Nancy, welcome back" message. The information is obviously only mine. That part isn't hard to do, but they have now tailored the page by providing additional information they believe I would want to see. How do I spend my money? For example, my spending power, what I'm spending on. To me, it shows me they care about who I am as a customer and the needs that I have when it comes to my banking and it comes to my spending and my financial well-being, really.
Yeah, I agree. That I have that experience oftentimes as well. It certainly makes you feel as though the company cares about you as a customer. They've taken the time to recognize you as an individual. So thank you for that. Tim, what about you? Could you share your point of view and perhaps maybe highlight an example where you've personally been, impressed as a consumer?
Yeah. Thanks, Deborah. For me personally, healthcare is a major factor in my life. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and as such, I have to be very involved in my healthcare. And recently, my endocrinologist, within the last year, switched over to the Epic medical records platform. And I've been super impressed with that platform from a personalization point of view. Like Nancy said, it greets you with all of your personal name and puts you front and center. And to build off what Nancy said there, it really gives you the power to do something useful with it. Very simple things like changing your appointments or ordering prescriptions or renewing prescriptions or things like that, to even more complex things like sharing my records with another doctor in my network, things of that nature. So, as you can imagine, with MRS and the space we're in, I'm very curious, and I often drill the nurses and the doctors about how they like it from their point of view. And the response I get back from the staff that uses the other stakeholders, so we have the consumer like me, and then the people that are actually using it in the office, and it's been very, very positive. And to me, that represents a very successful product, to be able to satisfy the requirements of all stakeholders. And it's something I think our industry really needs to pay attention to. For the platforms coming into the industry, they really need to have that omni-channel personalization focus that satisfies the requirements of multiple stakeholders in our industry and really provides value beyond what the welcome Tim. It provides us valuable tools that really empowers us as a consumer to take control of in my case, my medical history and my medical care. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Scott, what about you? What would you like to share from your experience?
So in thinking about this, it's funny when Tim said, welcome, Tim, right? I had the opportunity to travel for business for the first time in nearly 2 years. And I check into my hotel room, and there on the TV, it says, good evening, Scott. And it's got, this nice mellow music playing to it. But for a moment, and again, very simplistic, right? But for a moment, it delivered that wow factor to me, right? And it was personal. It took that experience to the next level. And, when I think about something like life insurance, for example, there's nothing more personal than life insurance, but it's not personalized, right? So it's how do we deliver that wow factor? When you think about perhaps buying something like a car or a home, those things are, they're very personal to you. A lot of times they, have that energy, right? That this is yours. It belongs to you. It's your style, right? And it's something you can be proud of. It's very much a tangible object. When in life insurance, we're selling an intangible promise if we're lucky, right? If that consumer gets through it. So how do we change the perception of life insurance from perhaps being personally invasive to providing that personalized wow factor experience?
Yeah, so Scott, I was just thinking when you walked into that hotel room and the hotel, is taking that first step, right, to figure out how to make you feel welcome. How incredible would it be if they actually were playing your favorite music? So yeah, that's kind of taking it to the next level, right?
That's right.
All right. So, I was thinking about how in order to personalize effectively, you really have to have a really good data strategy. And that really is around both what you collect directly from your customer as well as what you might be able to leverage from other sources. So, of course, you need to consider many different elements in your game plan, anything from data security and privacy to enablement technologies like MRS and many other areas. But with the life insurance industry kind of just tipping our toe in the water here, Nancy, can you share with us what is Securian doing and how are you guys working towards a more personalized experience for your customers?
Yeah, so we have recently built a platform called My Account, which provides clients a more personalized experience when they log in to view their account with us. Whether it's using a laptop or via an app on the smartphone, a financial professional's client can access their Securian Financial individual life insurance policies with just one user ID and password. And once logged in, they can pay their life insurance premium. They can sign up for auto payments. They can view accounts and loan balances, update contact and beneficiary information. They can even submit transactions. So we're just scratching the surface on this, what this app can and my account can do for a client. And it also allows financial professionals to provide service to their clients in a modern online way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very important step to begin the digital journey, because I think when you think about consumers and their experiences, and Tim's point on omnichannel, all of these channels working together to provide that experience become incredibly important. So Tim, I know you're representing us from technology, but I'd love to get your thoughts about the advisor's perspective. There's certainly no denying that they play a crucial role in this, and that's set to continue. So what does it look like for the agent?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I believe there are several layers of personalization to the agents, kind of coming off what we've already talked about, right? And but from a high level, our perspective is that and I think most of you would agree that distribution is the front line of the process, right? Nothing happens until they sell a policy. So technology really needs to enable them to do their job efficiently and effectively. Their job is to sell lots of quality business in the most efficient manner possible. And, from the personalization point of view, that really goes into, them having a frictionless process on the front end, right? So this can be very simple things like providing a My Cases portal so they can review, organize, and report on their own book of business. It can be automated SMS or emails to themselves or to their customers, keeping them informed on the application status. And those messages need to be personalized, again, to put the consumer and or the agent to empower them and to feel like they are front and center in this whole process. So integrations with, very simple integrations, again, going back to making this as frictionless as possible. So the agent can focus on the sale and servicing the customer as opposed to making sure the data is inputted into an e-app correctly. And there's lots of tools out there. I mentioned simple integrations. That could be with their CRM system. I know LexisNexis has the Life Data Prefill, which is a very cost-effective data source that can really make the life of an agent, the day in the life of an agent, that much easier. So using technology, again, to be the enabler of the job and really empowering the agent. And as you empower the agent, you really are enabling that consumer to become front and center and to feel like we are servicing them and really pass that empowerment downstream, to that consumer, which is ultimately what we're all after, is to make that consumer happy and to provide a frictionless process. And again, we feel the agents will and continue to be, a critical piece, as you mentioned there, Deborah, in that. Even with the D2C channel up and coming, agent-assisted D2C, I think, is a big stepping stone to get us to where the industry needs to be in that realm.
Yeah, so Tim, how does MRS tailor its offering to help drive this personalization?
Yeah, so
technology perspective.
Yeah, here at MRS, we do have those automated communications, right? And again, to be able to personalize those communications. So they're very, again, putting the consumer and or the agent or both of them front and center in the process. But, we've invested heavily too, kind of going on straight through processing. So incorporating different data sources, our great partners at LexisNexis, we've done a bunch of work with them, again, to make this, with the ultimate objective to make this a frictionless process as much as possible. The agent needs to be informed, right? So he needs an underwriting. He or she needs an underwriting decision. They need the premium rate. They need all forms signed and completed. After their meeting with their client, they shouldn't be doing any additional work, right? So I know I'm kind of diving a little bit into the weeds here again, but the idea here is to allow the agent to do their job, which is to sell the product, to educate the consumer, and the least amount of friction we can provide in the process, the more personalized that interaction with the agent comes. So again, I'm going to circle back there. The solutions that I just spoke of need to work for all stakeholders. Right. They will not work for distribution if they're not working for the carrier. So the solutions need to be flexible. It needs to be an iterative process. We need to collect data, surface that data in real time to understand where the pain points are in those processes and make educated decisions on the refinements needed.
Now that makes a lot of sense. I think, as you said, the agent is the face to the end consumer, and the more they can know about that consumer and make the process, have less friction, then they're delivering on their promise, right? So,
Right.
Couldn't agree more. So Scott, I'd like to bring you back in here. What's your perspective on personalization? And then I guess I have a part two to that question is, how do you see using data more upfront in the process at the point of sale where it could add more value?
Yeah, so the personalization piece to this, think about, here's a concept, right, that perhaps might be a little earth-shattering for some of us, or perhaps make us a little uncomfortable, but think about having your own personalized rate, right? And thinking about maybe a day in the future where we are able to, break down the barriers of, 12 different table rating classifications. And you think about that experience and how, we want to sell a super preferred, but not everybody is super preferred. And when they're not, what does that make them feel like, right? But if you had a personalized rate, this is your rate, how does that, then you're driving towards a more personal experience. And so I think kind of leading into part two of your question there, Deborah, is that data is the fuel that drives the engine, right? And it takes data in conjunction with, the technology, something like what MRS has to offer and what Tim just mentioned there. And when you're able to combine the two, you also have to have data that is being delivered in real time and can provide that real-time decisioning at the point of sale. So there's really, I think, three things here that I think really enable a more personalized journey and a more personalized experience with the use of data. So I just talked about that personalized rate. Well, with the data, you can now, segment your risks well beyond 12 table ratings. There are data tools out there that allow you to segment risk hundreds of times over. And so now you can get a very granular rating classification strategy that delivers that personalized rate, because my rate for you, Deborah, will not look like, somebody else who's you're 40 years young and female, right? So they're going to look very different, but it is your rate. You own that. And it's it's the use of data at the point of sale to segment and accurately assess that risk, get it right, fine tune it, and deliver a very personalized rate to that proposed insured. The second is pre-fill, and I heard Tim allude to that, and thank you very much, Tim. But I think, as we look at something like pre-fill, imagine a world where the agent and the proposed insured, the advisor, the consumer come in, and now that application is pre-filled with that person's information. And it goes back to that experience I had in the hotel where it's there. Wow, right? So now we're delivering that wow factor. And you can do that with things like physician information. You can do that with likely beneficiary information, pulling some of those household members into that application process so it is there. And what does all this mean? It gives that wow factor, but to Tim's point earlier, it also frees up time for that advisor to do what they do best, which is be that consultative partner. And when they are that consultative partner, right, they are no longer having to be a data collector, right, because that data is being ingested from people like us at the point of sale. And then I think the third thing is, from the agent's perspective, putting data into this that, enables them to make more confident and better recommendations, right? So I am that trusted advisor, and my job is to go out there and place you with the best policy, get you the best policy match. And if I can reinforce what I'm hearing from you as a consumer with data, my confidence in the recommendation I'm going to make to you goes up, and I'm going to get it right the first time, which is going to provide that more personal, customized, tailored experience for you, the proposed insured. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine being able to ingest data where you're going to collect that payment, for example. And if I have a data insight that says this proposed insured may be a likely candidate for an early lapse, maybe now in conjunction with a really smart technology tool, I can recommend a payment plan that's going to be more conducive for long-term retention. But to the consumer's view and vantage point, that is a very personalized experience for them, right? So, my agent made a recommendation to me that is likely going to be the best fit for me. And now you're making this application process all about the consumer, right? And trying to get away from it being painstakingly personally invasive.
Yeah, I really like your point about having the agent move from data collector to really being that quality consultant, right?
Right.
I think that's really important. So thank you for that. So Tim, just from a data perspective, did you have any additional thoughts you wanted to add? Just hearing Scott's response.
Yeah, I agree with everything Scott's saying there, and he's spot on. To your comment, Deborah, about and that's what I was trying to get at earlier, enabling the advisor to do their job, and technology should be that enabler to make that job more frictionless. From the carrier's point of view, I think we're all battling this too. The legacy culture around our industry. That this is the way we've always done it, and it's scary, right? Scott, to your earlier point about the underwriting and the table ratings. I mean, that's scary for a carrier to embark on. And I just want to make the point that the technology in our industry is advancing very, very quickly, and there's lots of ways to I want to say kind of baby step into this stuff, right? And, to the underwriting example, there's no reason, and there's, the costs are coming down and the technology can be configured these days to support this, but, there's no reason to kind of run trials on some of these things that the consumer never even knows about and the agents don't even know about. It's kind of run in the dark, right? But that allows the carrier to kind of compare the results and run their models from there. So I would just say that it's important for all of us as an industry to keep an open mind and to think outside the box to get from A to B. How do we do that? That's a huge leap of faith. And to take that iterative process and learn and educate yourselves back on the carrier side will only provide more personalization to the consumer and the agent as we march forward.
Yeah, very much agree. And I think too, when you can look at some other sister industries or other consumer industries, you can see how they've kind of plowed that road already. So yeah, a lot of inspiration can be gathered from studying some of those other best practices, if you will.
Absolutely.
So just thinking about some of the data and recognizing that, most carriers have been in business for a long time, right? I alluded to the fact that we have got a long-term customer relationship, and we're really sitting on an ocean of data, and it's possibly even overwhelming. So, Nancy, where do you think we can start? Where do you suggest that we start?
That's a good question, Deborah. And there is an ocean of data out there, and although overwhelming, it's so interesting and intriguing to see what we can do with it. At Securian Financial, we decided to start with understanding our current state of data, which systems talk with which systems. We've been in business for 145 plus years. There's a lot of data and there's a lot of systems, and they don't necessarily talk to each other. So how much data do we have and what kind of data? What does it look like? Then we researched how other organizations use their data and what ideas are out there in the industry. We've created a journey or a path, if you will, and how do we get to a future state? So that's been in progress for quite some time. As we started probably last summer, really digging into what we have here. So we're looking forward to more on what we can do to be more customer personalized from the agency to the agent to the client and beyond.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Well, I want to thank all of our participants today who shared their thoughts on this very important and emerging topic. I think we can all agree that personalization is fundamentally about promoting relevant, high-quality experiences. Consumers really want companies to use their information for good and to make the most suitable recommendations for them at their point of need. It takes a strong data strategy and a holistic game plan. Please do reach out to us at LexisNexis Risk Solutions with questions. We'd be happy to help you with your personalization journey. Thank you very much.